And I am back, finally. It's been quite a while, but I have decided to start getting ready, way too late, honestly, for what will be my booth at Vintage Computer Festival Midwest, so it was about time to get cracking. It's going to be a bunch of work because I have about 4 weeks left, and what I would like to do... Oh god, it's not even 4 weeks. It's like 3 weeks and some. What I would like to do is take the MicroVAX, bring it out, let people play with it, let people play with XUI, because that seems to have been a fairly big crowd pleaser as far as these videos have gone so far. But the issue is, I mean, I got everything kind of working with XUI and whatnot, but like, here's the state of it. This is basically what's left of the whole VGA adapter rig thing. So that's a problem. I need to make this into like a nice self-contained unit that like won't explode. So I have a bunch of Raspberry Pi Picos, and I have been looking for a good thing to do with them. So what I am going to do is, since these are multi-core and all of that good stuff, should be more than enough horsepower to run the keyboard and the mouse simultaneously off of one of these guys, hopefully. So there is that. There is making kind of an enclosure for this garbage. And then on top of everything else, I really want to be able to use the VT terminal that I have there so that people can log on via the VT terminal or via, you know, the monitor and keyboard into the graphical environment. Except that this is blown up. This is the keyboard that blew up. Oh god, it was in one of the pretty early episodes. For starters, I'm thinking let's make an enclosure for this that then I can build a Raspberry Pi into, then try writing some new firmware for that guy so that we can do keyboard, mouse, video all in one nice little box, strap it to the side of the VAX, and like be done with it. So that's pretty much the story. Let's get to building the box first. I think I'm just gonna take some styrene sheet and build it that way, but let's see how it goes. Because seriously, I have like no time. So the plan is to eventually go to one of these Raspberry Pi Picos, but we're not quite there yet. Today I might put some headers on this because I would like some headers on this, but that is for down the road. The main thing is I want to build an enclosure for this thing so that people can't mess it up too bad, so that I can't mess it up too bad. And my first thought is to use styrene sheet. I have some of this left over because I was going to make a case for the 65816 computer, and I have this little tester piece here where I was just building a box out of the stuff. You basically cut it with a box cutter and then you glue it together using this plastic weld, which you probably will have seen in my earlier video where I was trying to use this plastic weld, which is not like super glue, it's for bonding this plastic together. But I tried to use it to bond a connector to a board in an earlier episode. But this is the proper use for it. There is a Cricut in my basement. And the first thing I'm going to do is just take this sheet and I am going to take all of the parts that I need to get in here and attach them in place. I have some bolts and stuff. And then and only then am I going to like build up a little wall around it with another sheet. And then I'm going to make a screw on top, just a sheet, pop some holes in it, run some bolts through top to bottom, and that's going to be my enclosure. For starters, I just want to get these things screwed onto this sheet. So I'm going to do that. And remember, it's not me unless I am using the wrong tool for the job. Keep it in mind. And of course, it wouldn't be me without these guys. Well, it is, I was going to say, about as horrific as the last one, but I mean, you know, it's shorter. Okay, so that's a thing. I wonder if we can cut this down even a little bit further. There is a lot I have to shove in here. Oh, I forgot. one of the best parts of this whole thing. So the thing is, this carries voltage, I think, but it's like 12 volts, I believe. I should really look this up. But everything else that's going in here needs 5 volts. Yeah, this was my genius idea. Okay, hold up. This may have all been for nothing, though still useful to have. The mouse port may do 5 volts, according to the hastily sketched notes in one of these manuals that I'm going on. So I got a lot of these little tiny wood screws because this board and the Raspberry Pi both have some very small mounting holes. Well, it's not amazing, but it could be worse. It's at least holding in there real good. The other thing that takes up a ton of space is this thing. I'll probably properly solder everything, which will clean it up some more, but yeah, kind of there-ish. Yeah, I think we might be able to take this whole bit right off the board. Hey, that actually worked pretty well. I have not had great experience with this in the past, but look, I was actually patient enough for once. Yeah, I messed up. I don't know how well you can see that because I don't have a monitor here, but that screw is just slightly shorter than the thickness of this thing. So that sucks. And I'm just going to go ahead and ignore the cricket at this point. That is a thing. There are these tiny little holes here. I don't know if these are going to make it through. Yeah, they look a little big. Oh yeah, and now those screws fit all the way through. My God, it's kind of gross looking, but it works. It doesn't look to be shorting out anything. Shit, this might cause problems. Those screw heads are going to be too wide. I mean, I could try and mount them just like this. No, that's a terrible idea. Is it though? I mean, it'll work. That'll work. Okay, it's janktacular, but I mean, the screws go in, it all fits, it works, presumably. We'll have to see how this goes here, because the Raspberry Pi is 3.3 volts, and everything else is pretty much 5 volts. I'm just gonna see if I can make it work. So that's everything more or less mounted that needs to be, except for the PS2 connectors, which God knows. So I think my next step is I'm going to go grab the actual computer, which is still upstairs, and see if I am getting 5 volts on one of these, which would be great. And then, yeah, build some walls for this thing and make this box complete so that I can move on to actually doing the software part of it. But that's all for tonight, and I will see you guys in the morning. And I don't think the Cricket will see you guys in the morning, and I'm very sorry about that. Okay, the machine's down in the basement. It is now the next day. The cricket is gone, but now my neighbors are mowing the lawn and listening to music, so that's the new thing to put up for today. Let's see if we can find 5 volts on this thing, and then I'm gonna go get some coffee. Oh man, my wife came home and brought me a Coke. Never mind about that coffee thing. Where were we? 5 volts, right. Closed my document that had all of the notes in it, and I had to go find it again, but it says the 5 volts should be on pin 6. I am seeing 5.26 volts on that pin, so I'm happy about that. Now, mind you, there's the whole issue of the Raspberry Pi, which is not... Well, I haven't really looked up how 5 volt compliant it is. I'm going to go drink this Coke, and I will get right back to you. So what I'm going to try now is building a simple level converter circuit, because I have a few like 2N222 transistors sitting around and a bunch of resistors, so I might be able to make something like that work. So let's get breadboarding, I think. This should do, and if I can find the do everything power supply, that should have 3.3 volts on it. So, never mind, different tack. Let's throw 5 volts into the Raspberry Pi, and I'll just pull out of its 3.3 volt. So it should be, this is the 5 volt in. Okay, and that one should be the 3.3 volts out. We're going full bodge on this one. I have this, it's a controller board for an external hard drive that is very old. You can see it's IDE, but it has a power header on there. So let me find the power adapter for this and we'll use that for power. Okay. I mean, did you ever think this was going to be anything other than an eldritch horror? Bunch of things looking flaky. So let me make sure my soldering is all good real quick. You could have told me this, but never actually finished wiring in those other pins after I anchored in the first 4 the other day, so. This board is getting less and less populated with every step I take. Wow, wow, look at that, 3.24 volts. Wow, wow. And, oh God, what am I doing? I need to definitely go down from 5 volts to 3.3 so that I don't burn out the outputs of the Raspberry Pi. This is step 1. So you know how much I try not to buy stuff because I find it an annoyance, even if it's super cheap little components. But ages ago, I was playing a lot with RTL logic, trying to build my own discrete transistor computer. So I have a bunch of discrete transistors sitting around, which is good for this. This is a XOR, just FYI. This is a big ungainly XOR gate. But anyway, I have this old parts bin with a bunch of extra transistors sitting around, so this can possibly help here. All right, are you ready to unbox a ancient bag of Radio Shack transistors? I mean, like, we're talking 2006, maybe. No, actually, the more I talk about it, I can't do it. I'm going to use some of these loose ones from DigiKey. Like, come on, this will be an heirloom. And yes, this is my schematic. I didn't feel like printing it out, so that's what you get. I think I built the opposite of what I was intending, which is fine. I think we can switch this around easy. Basically, it looks like this is a circuit. Again, I'm not super great at this stuff, but I think the switching action of the transistors is all on the 3.3 volt, and it is basically allowing the 5 volt to flow or not through here. Okay, finally got it. 2 wiring mistakes in a row. Look, I don't know if you can read this. Look. Sickness. Now let me see if I can do this in the direction I actually wanted to do it in. Okay, I probably screwed up something again, but I think that's all I need. I just moved the 3.3 volts that was coming in to feed the 3.3 volt side of the circuit over to 5 through this resistor, and then the same story with this resistor that was going to 5, and now I have it going to 3.3. Hey. So that means I can just do one of each for each direction. That's easy. Okay, step 2. Let me build a tiny circuit board for 2 of these. And then we'll see if they're even fast enough for the Raspberry Pi serial to run through them. Yeah, I think I'm going to go the lazy route. I found this bit of cutoff in one of my bins, and I think I'll just... Well, that didn't go great, but hopefully that's usable. That's pretty much the goal of this whole thing, is get something that hopefully is pretty much usable. Okay, things may suddenly look different. My cell phone camera died, but I was only shooting with my cell phone camera because my new fancy camera was dead and I didn't have a charger for it. And the charger came in while I was shooting and it's been charging. So there you go, new camera. Anyway, while that was being swapped out, I put some holes in this, and now I think I'm going to build this circuit. You know what? Let's do a good old-fashioned fast-forward sequence. All right, power is off. This is craziness, but basically we've got the Raspberry Pi existing over here again just for power. It's got 5 volts coming over here and a ground. Actually, this should be one more position down. All right, turn the multimeter on. Turn 5 volts on. The input here should be 5 volts and the output should be 3.3, right? Ayo! Ayo, is that in the shot? Ayo. Okay, the circuit works. That is super great. That is super duper great. So I just need to build another one of these and then we can test serial. The best part about this is that we're going from 3.3 volts, then we're bouncing it up to 5 volts, then we're bouncing it up to plus minus 12 volts for RS-232 and then all the way back down. So, okay, I'm gonna build the other half of this off camera. So what I'm gonna do next, and have actually sneakily already done in the past, is get MicroPython going on this so that we can do a quick test of the UART going out of here into this level converter, into the RS-232 level converter, and then, you know, actually see if a computer can understand what this thing is pumping out. So I have never done this before, so I plugged the sucker in, went to the Raspberry Pi website, which of course everything is built to be very plug and play, so they had a pretty straightforward front page guide on how to get this thing plugged in and move the image over. So I downloaded the MicroPython UF2 image and put it on this thing, representing itself as a file device on the computer over USB. And you just drag the MicroPython UF2 image over to it. And then everything I have seen, I don't know if it's the official method or what, but everybody says use Thani because it has built-in support, being an IDE that, you know, directly interacts with the Raspberry Pi. And that worked pretty good. I went and looked at their documentation because they have a whole PDF document on well, everything really, but in this case, we were just looking at the MicroPython libraries, and was real quick to find the UART commands. And also I decided I wanted to blink an LED just to, you know, prove the thing was actually working. And so I did that. Yes, dongle central. All right, those will probably never make good contact with any other post ever again, but they should at least be working here and now. I think now I just need to run Minicom and see if crap gets printed to the screen, right? I think so. I think that's all. Okay. I'm going to turn the power on now. Nothing, but it's blinking, so that's cool. I mean, I can always see if I have these backwards. Oh, holy shit, I did. Oh. Okay. I don't know what to do now. So I took the Raspberry Pi back over to the computer. Oh, the cricket's back. Anyway, back over to the computer. I think I told you, I'm not a Python guy. I just wanted to write a while loop here for forever, and I couldn't remember what the pass statement was. But anyway, eventually I figured out exactly what the any function does. So I just wanted to make sure I was doing exactly the right thing, because I was doing basically the opposite of what the guide was showing as far as a demo. So now that we're back over here, hopefully if I run my other direction wire. Okay, starting Minicom again, applying some power. Check that out. I am willing to say that works. So I need 2 more of these. I think we're going to go into a third day.